Welcome to Theater Crafts, where we take theater memorabilia and we make brand new treasures. So, I don't know about you, but I live in a community where people really love to paint rocks. You know, they'll paint inspirational sayings on rocks and then they leave them for people to find. And I actually paint rocks in my yard as well. I think it's really fun and adds a nice touch to your landscaping, whatever. So then I thought, how can we incorporate theater into this rock painting? So then it occurred to me the plays on words. Like there are so many shows that have rock in the name or in one of the songs. So what I have done is I've taken the images from playbills and I have transferred those to rocks. For example, we have Rock of Ages, or we have We Will Rock You, or how about School of Rock? Or this one from Come From Away, Welcome to the Rock. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take Schoolhouse Rock and we're going to transfer that onto a rock so that you can decorate your landscape musical theater style. All right, let's get crafting. Okay, so once again, we're going to start in Canva. And so I'm going to go to create a design up here, as I've done before. Now you can use any old program that works for you. I happen to like Canva. So I'm going to go to custom size and 8.5 by 11 inches, because that's the size of the paper that we're going to use. And create a new design. Okay, and there we have it. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to, I've already uploaded my image. So I've got Schoolhouse Rock here. Basically what I did is I went online, I found the image that I wanted, and then I was able to upload that into Canva by saving it to my computer first and then uploading it. So I'm going to click on that. And so now I know that my rock is about 3 inches wide and about 2 inches high. So that's something that I want to kind of consider in terms of size. So I don't want it to be any larger than that because, you obviously need it to be fitting onto your rock. So I'm looking at that and maybe, so I'm looking, you can see right there, it's 2.8 by 1.7 inches high. Let's make it, how about that? We'll try that. So I'm going to put that right in the middle of the page. I'm actually going to duplicate it by just clicking the duplicate there and then moving that down, just so that we have a couple of images, just in case one gets messed up. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to take a piece of tissue paper. So just kind of standard tissue paper that you use for wrapping gifts. And we're going to flatten that out. I'm going to bring it to the ironing board and I'm going to iron it as flat as I can possibly get it. And I'll show you that in a moment. And then we're going to tape it to regular copy paper so that it will go through the copier. And I will show you how to do that in a moment. But then the idea is that we're going to take that tissue paper and that's going to be adhered to the rock. So we've got this all ready to go. And what I will do is I'm going to go get the tissue paper. We'll flatten that and then we're going to adhere it to the paper. Okay, so let's get going. So I'm at the ironing board here and you see I have just a standard piece of copy paper here and I've cut a piece of tissue paper so that it's a little bit smaller than the copy paper because remember we're going to tape it down to the copy paper. But as you can note here, it is a little bit wrinkled and that just happens because tissue paper is often folded when it's packaged. So you're going to use an iron. Now it's important that you use an iron without steam because that will disintegrate the paper. So I have my tiny little iron here and I'm literally just going to iron. It feels so weird to iron tissue paper, but I'm just going to iron it to try to get it as flat as I can. I do have it up on a high setting just to try to get some of those, as many of those wrinkles out as you can, so that when you're putting it through the printer, it doesn't get jammed. Okay, that's all you really need to do there. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll bring it back down to the work table and we will put that together. Okay, so we have our tissue paper and our copy paper here, and I'm just going to use just a standard cellophane tape here, and I'm just going to tape that tissue paper right down to the copy paper so that it won't move in the printer. We don't want it to get jammed in the printer. And so, I'm using white tissue paper here. You could certainly use a color as long as it's light enough that your image will be seen on it. So we're printing out obviously the image from the Schoolhouse Rock image from the logo onto the tissue paper. And if I show you, so in this, so see Rock of Ages here. I don't know if you can tell, we have the tissue paper is right in the center here. I did have to go over it with the paint pens, and you see here too. So the actual image is right in the middle there, and then I painted the rest of the rocks to go along with it. You can actually see it better, I think, in the School of Rock. You can see the image underneath there from the tissue paper. I don't know if that's showing up on camera. It certainly is for this one. So Come From Away, you see the blue, and the blue that I painted was a different color blue, but you can see where the image was there. So we're going to tape this down and then we will adhere it. Now, when we get to the adhering the image from the tissue paper onto the rock, we'll see how much we need to paint so that we can make it feel like it's part of the rock there. Oops, I got a tape over the edge there. Tape. Okay. Probably don't have to put as much here. You can use masking tape too. I just happen to have this tape right here. And you want to be careful when you're doing imagery. You want to be careful because they are copyrighted images, and so you don't want to sell them. I got a little tape over the edge of this, and I don't want that to get caught in my printer, so I'm going to cut that off. Okay, so you want to be careful because obviously copyrighted images, you can't use those for selling, because those obviously would infringe upon the copyright. But if you're doing this for your own personal use, it is absolutely fine. All right, so now we've got the tissue paper affixed to the paper, and we're gonna go and we're gonna put it in the copier and we're gonna print it, and hopefully it'll all come out okay. We'll see how it goes. So I put the paper in the paper tray, and we're gonna see how this comes out. There it goes, perfect. Came out perfectly. So here is the image on the tissue paper and the copy paper. You can see it did get a little bit kind of persnickety about printing, but that's because it's a thicker piece. So I'm gonna cut this out, cut this away from the backing paper. Now, obviously, you could freehand this if you'd like. I'm not very good at freehanding, I'm going to be honest. So that's why I did this. I printed two just in case one of them didn't come out. So we obviously don't need the two of them. So I'm going to cut this fairly close to the image. I'm going to leave a little overhang there. Then, okay, so I've cut out the image. There it is. And let's talk about the rock. So this is the rock that I've chosen for this particular project. So if you notice, I kind of measured the rock before determining how large to make this, and I thought, like, it's like 3 inches by 2 inches or so. So I wanted the image to fit within that, so that looks pretty good. I did do a base coat of just a white craft paint, acrylic craft paint on the rock beforehand. Although my rock was white, I wanted to make sure that it was pretty clean white, because there's white in this image, and I just wanted to make sure that it wouldn't have any other color coming through. Now notice on some of these, like this one had a pink background and this one had a black background, so I didn't have to worry about those quite so much. All right, so now I'm going to take some Mod Podge, and I've got some matte Mod Podge here. You can use the regular Mod Podge that you spray on, or that you brush on, and I'm going to actually spray this, and I'm going to take a soft brush and we're going to adhere it right to the rock. This is the moment of truth here. And I found that you don't want to add too much of the Mod Podge, because it will have a hard time getting the wrinkles out. All right, so notice that I'm starting to just very carefully put that down. You have like one shot to get that down there, because it won't move. All right, so basically get that down, try to get all the wrinkles out, and then we're going to wait for that Mod Podge to dry, and then we're going to continue. Okay, so it has dried. I want to show you again, this is the Mod Podge that I used. It's just a spray, but it is very similar to the typical Mod Podge that you use, like this one, which I'm going to use at the end, because I do like the gloss finish on them, and it also protects them, so I'm going to use that. So this has adhered, but it's pretty fragile, so you want to be careful with it. I am going to paint around it though, so I have just my acrylic craft paint that in the white, because the edge is white, so I'm just going to kind of paint up to the image, and that's mostly so that I can help to adhere that tissue paper to the rock a little bit more securely, and it helps to blend that image in a little bit. And then we are going to, although I have to say that the colors are popping nicely on this. I'm quite surprised. I didn't expect it to pop quite so nicely. But we are going to add some more color to it with paint markers. And we'll do that after this has dried. So I'm just going to go around the image and get as close to it as I can without covering up the image itself. And you could do this, like, obviously I'm doing this playing on the word rock, but you could do this with any sort of image, flowers or anything that strikes you. I'm not very good at like freehand drawing, so this is a nice technique. If you don't want to freehand it, if you're good at drawing, freehand it, go for it, and really create wonderful images for your garden. You can use these obviously in plants too. I've done that as well. There we go, all the way around. All right, so again, I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll come back with the colored pencils, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so this has dried. I just want to clarify something. I think I said colored pencils a moment ago. They're actually markers. They're paint markers. And so this is, sorry about the glare there. This is the set of paint markers that I'm using. They're water-based acrylic markers. This particular set has 12. There are a whole variety of sets of markers. paint markers that you could use. I like these because they layer really nicely. If I put a color on and I need to color on top of that, they actually do a really good job of layering there. So I'm going to use these markers. And I did that with these, like for example, the colors that I painted on the outside, the Rock of Ages was just a square in the center. I used the paint markers to add color around the outsides there. The same thing with the Rock of Ages, We Will Rock You here. I added paint around here to make it look a little fringy, I guess. And I also colored in the wording. All of these rocks were actually white as well. And I painted them to go along with the color in the image. So just something to think about. I'm actually, before I use the markers, though, I think I'm going to add a layer of Mod Podge on top of the tissue paper here, only because I want to make sure I protect it before I go painting on top of it so that it doesn't tear at all. So I'm just going to add a layer, just kind of a light layer of Mod Podge over this, and then I'll let this dry, and then I'll come back and I will paint with the paint markers over this so that we're protecting the actual image. There we go. And the paint markers paint beautifully over the Mod Podge. Is nothing to worry about here. I'm using gloss Mod Podge. You can use matte if that's your preference. You don't even have to use Mod Podge. You could use, there are all sorts of sealers that you can use on it if you don't happen to have Mod Podge. Mod Podge is easily accessible. You can find it in any craft store. It's pretty common to have it. Okay, so just a light coat just to protect that tissue paper, and then I'm going to let that dry and we'll come back and I will show you how to enhance the image. Okay, so the Mod Podge is dry and it actually looks pretty good. The colors are pretty good here, so we don't really need to do a lot, but we're going to embellish anyway. So I've got the yellow in here. This blue, it's not exact, but it's close enough. Got the red for that, and probably the black, maybe even the white, in case we need to go over some of the white. So the colors are pretty good in this. So the paint markers here, you see they have a tip. You have to prime the tip by just pressing it up against some, like I did it on a paper plate or a piece of paper, until the paint gets into the tip. You can see that, the tip of the marker. I've already done that because I use them obviously for the other rocks. So I'm just going to add a little bit of color onto this yellow first, just to make sure that color pops. And it's pretty good, so I'm not worried about it. Color is pretty good. I think that I might be needing to do a little bit more on the the character here rather than on the letters. This is pretty. show you, I'm doing a little cleanup here because the black marker is so thick, but you can do cleanup, and I want to show you what I'm doing here so that I can, make the black marker seem less kind of heavy, because it feels really heavy to me. So I can just take the other colors and fix it up, and that's what I'm doing here. So you certainly are able to do that. Let me grab the red and I'll show you like on the arm here. The beauty of these markers is they will go over the other colors, so I think that feels heavy to me. So I'm just going to lighten that just a little bit, and that way the black doesn't seem so overpowering. See how that works? I like that a lot about these markers. I think they're really great that way. Same thing with the arm here. It feels a little heavy, so I'm just going to go back in and add a little bit more of a white in there so that we can be less overwhelming with that black. Okay? So something to think about. So you can always fix it. Okay? All right, so we're going to let that dry, and then we're going to add the other paint. Okay, so it's mostly dry right now. We're not going to paint over the Schoolhouse Rock image anyway with this, so I figure I'll start. So I put a little bit on my a paper plate here just to keep my area clean, and I'm going to paint not on the Schoolhouse Rock itself, but on the rest of the rock, and it's just adding a little bit of that glitter. It's mostly a clear paint with the colorful speckles in it, which I think is really fun. So you can kind of control the speckles a little bit. And like I said, I love that, it potentially will glisten in the light, all these speckles. So I think that will certainly add to it when it's outside, if you choose to put them outside, in a planter or in your garden or something like that. I think that would be really fun. You could paint it a solid color, certainly, and that would work too. Oops, I got it on the whatever inspires you. That's what I love about doing crafts like this. You can make them your own. And once I do this, I'm going to, after I add this speckled paint, I'm going to, at the end, put another coat of Mod Podge over the whole rock just to protect it. You can use, there are all sorts of sealers you can use out there. I'm just using Mod Podge, I have it, but I've used other sealers as well for outdoor, rocks or, things that I've done like checkers and chess sets and stuff like that I've used for outdoor activities by the pool. So I might actually, I have another color of this. I might do another color in there too, just for fun. And we'll see how that turns out. I am going to, when I Mod Podge, do both the top and the bottom, just to protect the whole thing. When I have this clear coat, sorry, I went off camera there, I apologize. How fun is that? Look at that, that's cute. Get a little bit closer there. It kind of looks like a rock. Like, how rock has that stippling kind of like look to it, and that kind of makes it look rock-like. I like it. I think it's fun. All right, I am going to let this dry, and I have another color. I might add another color onto it just to give a little bit of depth. I have a gold that I think I might add in there too. Here's a gold. Maybe it will, add and pull some of that yellow out too. So I'll try that. I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll do that second color. Okay, so I let that first layer dry. That was the glitter black ice. And then I actually added, if you can see in here, I added the gold. I actually really like the gold there and added that. And then you didn't have to watch me do that. I had already done it, so you saw how I could do that, how to do that. And then I added a coat of Mod Podge on top of that, again using the Mod Podge here. I just want to caution you that I'm planning to use these inside, but if you're going to use them outside, you want to use a Mod Podge that is appropriate for outdoor use. This is for indoor use, but I'm planning to put these in flower pots in the house, so they will be perfectly fine for that. But this is it. These are done. How fun are these? I love them. I just think they're so fun. Way to celebrate musical theater. And if you like rock painting, like decorating, landscaping, it is a fun way to do that and still have a musical theater influence in your yard. So thank you for joining me for this week's theater craft. I hope you'll send me pictures so I can see what you've done. And I hope you'll join me again next week. I'll see you then. Have a great week. Bye.